And have you noticed the sun? Look, there's sunshine here. It's amazing, isn't it?
We've got it here, but it's just gone behind a cloud, literally, as we started.
So it's officially summertime now, as far as I'm concerned. So, which is great. That fills me full of the joys of spring. Anyway,
I think that's a bit of a stretch, but I'll give it up.
Yeah, I'll go for it. And listen, just before we kick off that, what we probably should say, because if anyone's listening to this, obviously this is the day when the Ukrainian stuff all kicked off with Putin and everything else. So, I'm not going to get into a political conversation, but certainly my heart is out and thoughts are out to anyone involved in it.
Definitely, we've got some of our development team who are based in the Ukraine. So obviously, we're very, very concerned about their welfare, and hopefully everyone's okay and safe. Yeah,
absolutely. I don't think war's the answer for anything, but anyway, that's as far as we'll leave it from that point of view. But anyway, I hope everyone's going to be okay. But how's the week been? All good from a business point of view?
Yeah, just like full steam ahead as always. I was just making you jealous just before we came on that I'm flying to Austin on Sunday for 10 days. So a bit of a big event out there, and then a bit of a holiday because we're going to be launching our office in H2 in Austin. So just to get a bit of the lay of the land, work the city out, find all the best pubs and bars, and go from there. So I haven't been on a plane since 2020. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm not gonna know what to do at the airport, am I?
Well, this is it. So I'm leaving literally straight after this to jump on a plane to Ireland, and it's my first time I've been on a plane since 2020 as well. Really weird. I'm actually quite nervous to an extent, which is like, why am I nervous of sitting on an airplane? But anyway, it is what it is. I suppose.
It's the COVID testing that makes it all these things. You've got like all the apps you need to have downloaded. You've got to I've got to on Saturday morning do a COVID test on a Zoom with somebody, and then show them the result, and that verifies it or something. It's just like, this is bonkers.
It's a little bit more relaxed going to Ireland. I'll make that clear. So I just need to turn up and down a pint of Guinness, and they'll let me in. It'll be fine. So.
One of Guinness, you're not allowed in.
Well, this is it. But one of the reasons why I'm going over now is that as I mentioned to you before, I've got board meetings on Saturday and Sunday because everyone is so busy, and they want that quality time away from the desk, away from all the disturbance. Say, let's just take some time out if we can and do it. And someone says to me, "Is that mad right now? Should where's all the work-life balance and the mental well-being and all this type of stuff?" I totally get that, but someone said to me today, "Is that do you mind doing this type of stuff?" I'm being honest. I really, really love it. I love what's going on. I love the market at the moment. I love the wins everyone's having in recruitment. I love the new ways we're running our business. And to me, I think I was trying to think about this and articulate this to some recruiters earlier. That actually, if you really, really love what you do, like really love it, I'm not being to say this for the fun. I think actually it doesn't feel like work. It's actually quite part of the journey. It doesn't really matter whether it's a Saturday or a Sunday or a Tuesday.
No, definitely. It's that thing. If you do what you love, it stops being a job. Yeah. I think the other thing is people have known through the pandemic how tough it was. So it's almost like, we've got to make hay while the sun now shines.
Well, exactly. No, but this is it, and that led me on to another conversation I had this week with someone where we did a really fun exercise, actually. And I recommend this to any recruitment business leader who's listening, is that we did a sort of a weekly, monthly catch up on the league table. So who the top performers, how they're tracking, rolling 3 or 4 weeks, that sort of stuff on their figures. We then did exactly the same league table based on those recruiters' adherence to the company culture and the company values.
Right.
And we created this alternative league table, which is based on all the values of the business as much as the performance. And there was a really interesting correlation between those people who are the high performers, who were really living and believing the values of the business, and those who weren't, and vice versa. It was really fascinating.
Right.
And it just made me think. And then we started talking about, why are these guys underperforming or not performing as well as they could be? And it was a behavioral thing. It wasn't a skills thing. It wasn't even an attitude thing. Is they didn't really understand the behaviors of a great recruiter, behaviors of excellence, and the values that we have in the business, and therefore they weren't displaying it. So there's a whole lot of work now we're doing with those guys to try and say, well, how do we now get you to challenge the top performers based on a change in your mindset from a behavioural point of view? It's really fascinating, I thought.
And I think that change management piece is actually something that's very topical for us. So everyone will have probably seen the ROI stuff we've been pumping out over the last 6 months, how to get more from your tech. The biggest feedback we've had from all of that campaign has always been, look, this is great things that we can go away and do, but our biggest problem is change management within our own businesses and breeding that culture of change. So actually our next topic area that we're going to be doing a load of content around, so watch this space, is all around change management.
Yep.
And we've been chatting to some really cool consultants around it. And communication just comes as the top thing every single time. It's like it's making sure people understand why that's actually important to them, and in their own language. I think that's the key, isn't it? Is that a lot of the time we as business leaders forget, and we forget, and we always think about, okay, this is what it's important. This is why it's important for the business. And we automatically think that because that's important for the business, that translates through to everybody else, that it's important for them. But unless you actually put it in their language and why that should matter for them, they always don't join the dots.
100%. And I massively agree with that. However, I think there's one slight smaller stage before that, which is what we found out with a particular business yesterday, was that actually a lot of people, it's not necessarily the why and whether they bought into it, they didn't even know what it was in the first place. So it hadn't been articulated clearly in the first place to even know what they were changing. So it wasn't like, no, are you bought into the change? They didn't actually know what the change was. Right. So I think and it's fascinating. So there's a real clear articulation piece right at the outset of actually what we're doing here. Then we'll tell you why we're doing it, and then obviously the how we're doing it, and that type of stuff. I think there's a what piece in there as well. That clarity there, I think. So.
And I think that's the thing is, it's about that messaging and almost constant reinforcement through it. I think if you think that if you communicate something once and everyone takes it in, when it's not, their very day to day, then it's never going to happen. I think you have to constantly reinforce that throughout. I think it's that culture piece, isn't it? It's like making sure you've got a business that has a culture that adopts things, and change is seen as part of that.
And you think after what we've been through the last 2 years, we're pretty used to change by now. So, but it's still a challenge, right? I think people, maybe there's an argument that, we're in the post-COVID world, can we call it that? But in this post-COVID period that we're in now, maybe people are saying, I've had enough of change. Can we just go back to some real rhythm and some normality without any more change? Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know.
Yeah. And the other thing is everyone's doing so well at the moment. So,
why change?
A lot of people, thinking like this is working for us. And they get stuck in that short-term game of it's working right now. Let's not change anything because we're doing fine. But actually, the whole blockbuster Netflix scenario, if you don't keep adapting, then you get left behind very quickly.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. And we're saying to everybody we're working with, go and fill your boots, have fun right now, make a lot of money, make a lot of placements, but make sure you're putting some stakes in the ground about what you're going to do differently in the future, how your business is going to change, how the way you recruit is going to change, because there is an evolution happening. There's no getting away from it. Yeah,
I think it's only good for the industry. The industry's in such a strong position that actually that is when people can take a step back and start to look at these things and think, what can we improve? What would we do better? How would we deliver differently to our clients? But they've got that almost that confidence at the moment, isn't it? It's one of those things. You have those months, we've all had them in sales, where everything you touch turns to gold.
Yep.
And it almost seems like that in recruitment at the moment. So 100%. Therefore, people are actually open to, well, let's try this, let's try that, because everything's going well. When everything's imploding, no one wants to do anything because they think, it's just going to be something else that's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's good. So I think this is a continued evolution of our industry, which is brilliant. As always, it's great to catch up. Have a fantastic time in Texas. You're going to come back.
My cowboy hat ready for the next one.
I'll say you're going to come back 3 times the size. You know that, because the average meal is about that big, sort of thing. I'll come back 3 times the size. I've been drinking Guinness. I won't be actually. I'm on a detox, as you know. So no Guinness for me. But have an amazing time. We'll catch up in a couple of weeks and we can compare notes of our international travels, even though mine's only up the road.
Yeah, perfect. Cheers, man.
Thanks, Alan. Take care. Cheers, mate.